everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back with another episode of Plague Inc. Evolved, the early access version of the popular cell phone game. Windows version of the popular cell phone game. I can't get this right ever. Anyways, we're gonna try the virus on Mega Brutal. The virus in particular is probably the easiest one, I would guess, of all the ones. But instead of me trying it on my own, and then going and failing, and then going and getting a strategy guide, and following the strategy guide offline, like I did for bacteria, I just have the strategy guide right in front of me, so why not do it right now? They say you use ATP boost, get that bonus DNA. Let's see, genetic mimic is one. Aerocyte this time. More focusing on airplanes than the water. Extremophile is one. And then he wants symptostasis, much like the strategy again. Turns out it's the same website. I don't know. When you Google things, if you stay on the page for a while and don't hit the back button, Google knows that, so they assume that whatever you read at that website was helpful, and thus you get that same website more and more. Mega virus will be the name. Much like the mega bacteria, giant viruses that just eat humans whole. Alright. So, they say pick Saudi Arabia as your starting place. And then, right after popping the first red bubble, evolve the following in this order. Alright, so we want one red bubble, and then we're gonna immediately evolve coughing, sneezing, and then cysts. So we need 2 more DNA. We have 2 more DNA. Cysts. And then we want abscesses. 2 more DNA. Abscesses. Next one we want is hypersensitivity for 2 more DNA. And then rash and sweating. This is sweating, right? Yep. So we need 3 more DNA for rash. Well, 2 more DNA to get to 3. It says early symptoms will provide you with decent amount of infectivity, which will make things faster. Again, as stated above, do not worry about the random mutations, just let them happen. Okay, airplane uses new sterilization air filters. That's no good. And while I was reading that, I was looking down and not looking at the game, so for all I know, stuff could be happening. Doing 2 things at once is not a good idea, particularly when you're doing 3 or 4 things at once, in the fact that I am reading, playing a game, talking about the game, and recording a game all at once. So, sweating, and now we start moving over to the transmissions. We need 9 DNA for airwoman. Cheap, clean power discovered. That's no good. Anemia mutated. It said not to worry about it. So I air 1. Now it wants water 1, then air 2. And then we're gonna go get drug resistance, interestingly enough. I think we need at least 9 or 10 DNA. So we'll jump back in the menu once we have at least 9. Yep. Air 1, water 1 requires 10. And then air 2 requires 16. Let's speed this up a little bit. Now there's still definitely random things that could happen that you just can't win. And that is a flaw in game design. If there are ever situations where the player just cannot win through no real fault of their own, even if it is by a small percentage of their fault, through a lack of knowledge or skill, that's still probably not good enough. So, air 2, and then drug resistance 1 for 11 DNA. Almost missed a bubble there. Drug resistance 1. Now it wants cold resistance 1 and 2. So I need at least 8 DNA. A new worrying disease is spreading. It's always a worrying disease when we play this guy's strategy, but you know what, so far his strategy's worked. So, let's see, cold resistance 2 is going to take 14 DNA. Time to pause the game with the spacebar. Newly learned skill, learned way too late. So that's cold resistance 2, it says. Saudi Arabia connects to rich and cold countries, which is why we should put an early point into drug resistance and max out cold. Being able to quickly infect Russia, Sweden, and Finland will also help in infecting Greenland earlier. One of these countries' ports connects to Greenland. And now a lot of evolving in the following order. All kinds of symptoms: pneumonia, pulmonary edema, diarrhea, which is going to cost 6, so that's the next one we want. Let's continue. Starting to work on the cure. Moving kind of slow. So, diarrhea. Now it wants us to do water 2 for 18 DNA. I wouldn't think that you would be changing too much if you did all of the same symptoms in a different order, but maybe you would. Maybe that's part of this game that I'm just not realizing. It wants us to do skin lesions next, and then necrosis next for 27. We're gonna start killing people pretty fast here. Seems a little early. Oh, time for a pause. I should have been using that pause the whole time. So there goes necrosis, and then now it wants us to get extreme bioaerosol for 20 DNA. A little interesting in its order. Just hit the pause again and we'll back to fast forward. We'll get DNA like crazy. Extreme bioaerosol. And now it wants us to do drug resistance 2 for 28 DNA. Saying not to worry about mutations. There's drug resistance 2. Then it says come back for paralysis here. And coma next for 22. There's coma. And total organ failure already? Wow, total organ failure for 31. They're at 9% of the cure right now, but the world does look like it's getting infected. Let's take a moment to look at what countries are not infected. Sweden and Morocco. Wow. This strategy seems to have worked. 34 is what we're looking for. So we're ready for total organ failure. And now, after all that, it wants us to get 2 DNA for insomnia, then paranoia, then seizures, then insanity. There's insomnia. But 20% of the cure. Wow, look at that DNA jump. 160. That may be a new all-time high of just out of nowhere. Insanity. Then it wants us to get nausea and vomiting, and then pulmonary fibrosis, and then dysentery. We already evolved randomly, and that's it, unless I missed some things. So we're skipping fever and hemorrhagic shock and hemophilia and tumors and inflammation and what is this one? Internal hemorrhaging. And there probably were a few that randomly mutated here, but I have enough DNA to get all of these. It says, after evolving all these, the world should be plunging into chaos, but some countries are still not in the process of being completely infected. This part could be really improved, so try to experiment with it. So what I do after evolving dysentery is boost my resistances to be able to infect faster. At this point, here's what I usually go with. Heat resistance, 1 and 2. When did we never did genetic hardening. Environmental hardening, sure, why not? And then hemorrhagic shock. Hemorrhagic shock for 4. What? Really? No, 31. Let's spend some 19 DNA though to do some genetic hardening. I mean, we're only at 23% of the cure, but you know, I think we want to play this safe and get this done in the first place. What countries are left infected? None. So it's really just a matter now of, let's see, that'll cost 24. Let's do it. Hemorrhagic shock, why not? See, that's like too deadly now. Fortunately, it seems to have worked out just fine. So 12 more DNA and we can get the last symptom. Interestingly enough, if we can get 12 more DNA, that'd be nice. Or if it just randomly mutates, that'd be nice. But it doesn't matter because we're gonna win. We got it done. It took a lot of me reading direct instructions from someone else to do it, but I would much rather get this done in the first try than sit here and make failed episodes. That is nice. Maybe the first time we've legitimately unlocked everything. What did we miss really? Just some reshuffles and that ability and a lot of transmission things. Victory! Wow. Look at this. I guess this just goes to show my strategy just sucks. A lot more could have been done, and I just haven't learned a lot. which is a little bit, I have to put that on me, but a little bit I have to put that on the game too. The game hasn't really taken us down that path of learning as much as it's given us a series of challenges and left us to on our own to solve it. Look at this. We got rid of everyone in 291 days. Complex virus on Mega Brutal. The cure progress got to 28%. It gave us 157,050 points and 5 biohazards. Is this our first 5 biohazard thing? Score? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we should play Saudi Arabia more often. And we have that Mega Brutal symbol now. Didn't unlock anything unless it unlocked the cheats. And unfortunately, no. I'm checking after every single time because it would only be prudent. We don't want to unlock it after the fungus and then try the rest of them on Mega Brutal and not succeed. Hopefully these guides will work and we'll just do them all. If the guides are working, we might as well go and do all of them, even if we unlock the cheats early. Next time we will be doing our second to last scenario, who cares? And then we'll be back to the fungus. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. A little bit different, probably a lot less focused on my talking about the game, just following directions really. But we got it done, and that's all that matters. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All of that helps out. If you want to support me, click on my name Rydo. On the right is a blue button that says support this channel. If you want to follow or friend me on practically any social media site, all that information is down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.